So a little bit about Bride Nine. We started back in 2015, and we're headquartered in Ashburn, Virginia, just outside the nation's capital. And we are a certified veteran-owned small business. As John alluded, we have a lot of experience, not just in cybersecurity, mobile security, but also within the ATAK community. So we started roughly about when ATAK started, plus about 13 something years ago. Most of our staff carry some sort of a security clearance, and we have ongoing engagements, mostly with TAC and some other stuff that we do. But we have stuff going on with DoD, intelligence community, special operations community, federal law enforcement, and of course the defense and special operations community within some of our international partners. Next slide. So what is TAC? And a lot of people ask about this. Some people have a understanding of what they think ATAC is, or TAC, or anything else. Like a lot of people, when we first started in the ATAC community, it was known as ATAC. They dropped A, and now it's called the TAC community or the TAC program. So TAC, depending if you're federal law enforcement or Department of Defense, if you're federal law enforcement and local, federal, or local and state areas, you're mostly going to refer to TAC as the Team Awareness Kit. And then if you're mostly DoD, you're mostly going to be referring to it as a Tactical Assault Kit. The Tactical Assault Kit is a military version. We'll get in a little bit more of some of the different offsets of the TAC program here shortly. TAC is a government off the shelf, so it is actually free to anybody that is government. So if you're a gov, civilian, state, local, doesn't matter, TAC is free. It is a geospatial and mapping solution that for Android and iOS and Windows. There's also some other things that you can do with TAC, but we'll cover those here shortly. It is a program of record by SOCOM, Air Force Research Lab, and DARPA. And TAC, it facilitates the information flow and communications from the tactical edge to the Tactical Operations Center, or for some of those that are first responders, they refer to that as your Incident Command Center. So from an information flow perspective, you'll see that we have what's called COT, or cursor on target, and personal location information. So basically, we're pulling information from not just your location and sending it out to other team members, but we're also pulling all their other team members that are actually on station. So as we're talking about the CompassCom P25 radios, we're actually bringing those in and actually showing a dot on a map of where they are in real time in relationship to your ATAC devices that are on station as well. Just think of ATAC as something that you can do from Blue Force tracking. So being able to see your team members, and that situational awareness from that IC, being able to, from a team leader's perspective, being able to get that full SA, single cop, in terms of being able to see what's going on from not just your P25, but also all your ATAC TAC users. And there are some elements of a personal recovery that can be done on here, because now as your team members are moving around, an incident may occur. You'll have a location near real time, and ATAC does track in near real time. And so now I'll be able to get boots on the ground or some type of aerial asset or vehicle asset out there to to get them off the X as quickly as possible. So there, like I said, there is an element of PR. Next steps. All right, next slide, excuse me. TAC also provides an enhanced capability for mission planning. So just to think of like an advanced team going out, they're doing their surveying and plotting of, like hospitals or fire and police departments, command centers. They're looking for infill, exfil locations, whether it's water or aerial or vehicle, HLZs. And then you're also looking at primary, secondary, tertiary routes to your objectives. So this is something that can be done from a mission planning perspective. And then, of course, there's also a real-time navigation part. So you'll be able to see what you have. So it's almost like an over-glorified Garmin device where you see where you are on location, and then you can actually do some tracking of yourself, and also being able to see tracking of individuals and then navigate to individuals or other objectives. Data sharing. So like we mentioned about with the mission planning, all that data collected can be put into what's referred to as a mission package. And then from there, you can easily distribute that out to your team. And we'll actually show kind of like an example of that here shortly. Again, it provides that overall situational awareness, that common operating picture. Most elements use WinTAK to do that. It is a Windows-based application. And that is, like I said, that a lot of people do mission planning with that one. And mostly you'll see those in like your JTOCs, TOCs, and incident command centers. Targeting. Again, this is on that military version only. So like I said, there's TAK Civ and TAK Mil. And from a TAK Mil perspective, you have the ability to bring in your fire tools and which basically supports your close air support. Those are basically your military only. And really at the end of the day, the difference between TAK Civ and TAK Mil is more of that targeting aspect. And of course, there is some element of intelligence operations that can be utilized for TAK as well. And we'll go to the next slide, please. The one thing that's really cool about TAK, now this will be going for ATAK and for WinTAK, is this plugin architecture. So as new capabilities or new technologies are evolving, and we'll use these examples here, is your fire area survey tool and your UAS tool for your small drones. They do have the ability to plug into your ATAK interface and then provide that simple tool that allow you to both get the do blue force tracking as total situation awareness of what's going on in the field, and also interact with that particular tool or asset that you've integrated. There are hundreds of different plugins. Various vendors have them. There's the tak.gov. If you have a login from there, you can see what tools are available and that are available to be downloaded. And some of them are Civ and Mil only. So like the sniper tool may or may not be available for Civ, but for the military, it will be available for them as well. Again, it's for ATAK and WinTAK. It is not supported on ITAK, which is your iOS version, your Apple version. It's a little bit more difficult to do. Plugin architecture is not supported with the iOS platform. So it gives a little bit more, there's a little bit more complications in terms of how you would support these type of additional features. Next slide, please. So TAK platforms. So what we'll do is we'll start on the bottom left hand or bottom corner, or the bottom center, which is the TAK server. So that TAK server is a Linux-based server that pretty much does the orchestration of all your disparate networks. So if I have WinTAK and ITAK and ATAK sitting on various different networks, that TAK server basically provides that middleman capability to pass and receive all your cursor on target and personal location information. There are some other very advanced capabilities that you can perform within the TAK server, such as being able to do LDAP and Active Directory authentication for your end users, manage your certificates, whether you want to have certificate-based enrollments or not, data syncing. So like, for instance, instead of generating mission packages and sharing them out manually, you can have each of your users subscribe to a specific mission. And as information changes or is updated in real time, it'll update it on each individual ATAK, ITAK, or WinTAK device automatically. So being able to have that TAK server to provide that capability is also important. Also, the note with TAK server is, as John alluded to earlier, with the Compass capability, is the integration into the TAK server. So there is a Compass Connect. And we'll show you kind of like a screenshot of what we've done on that one. So like I said, Windows or WinTAK is a Windows base that'll go on your Windows 10 or Windows 11 laptop. And then, of course, you have ITAK. WebTAK is your web interface. So that traditionally resides on the TAK server. You just give the individual access to the TAK server's web port, and you'll get access to the web server. ATAK is for Android. Then, of course, you have VTAK, which is virtual TAK, which is really evolving, and that's actually kind of cool. We've already touched on plugins, and then, of course, like you have your AR TAK, your HUD. So if you have like a heads-up display a lot of military guys will be able to use this. So they'll actually be able to get location of all of their team members, and if they're actually going to different rally points or checkpoints, they'll actually be able to see this without having to look down on their device or their EUD or end user device. We'll go ahead into the next slide, please. So TAK program they refer to as the TPC, the TAK Product Center. The TAK Product Center is comprised of a configuration steering board. There's a lot of different members. You'll have everything from like SOCOM, Air Force, NGA, State Department, Homeland Security, so on and so forth. So you'll see a lot of those. They're all voting members, and really, they're the ones that really set the direction. From a government program perspective, the TAK Product Center is doing a fabulous job in terms of how they're actually making a government program. Funny thing is that a government programs, as we all know, don't traditionally work. But in this particular case, they've been around for 10 years. It is since the TAK Product Center has come about several years ago. You'll see the adoption, not just from the government perspective, but also from like first responders, local law enforcement, and stuff like that, and international partners like from the Five Eyes community and and NATO partners are really starting to buy into this whole TAK Product Center and the TAK ecosystem. So it's been exciting to see this as someone who first started out and going to one of the TAK offsites. I remember going to a room and there's probably like 25 people in a room. Now, when you go to a TAK offsite meeting, it's in a conference center. And I think the last one we went to, I think there were somewhere right around 800 to 1,000 registered. Some of them were hybrid, some of them were on site. So it's really good to see how ATAK has evolved and carried on. Next slide, please. So you'll see here, this slide is a few years old, but as you can see, when TAK when the TAK Product Center was established in the beginning of 2019, you'll see that it was it's like a 75% jump in terms of the adoptability of the TAK ecosystem. So I would almost envision that this slide, if we were to have this slide updated today, 2 years later, that we're probably close to maybe 100,000 users, and that's probably a fair low number estimate too, as well, just because of all the variations, all the different things I've seen over the past years. Go on, next slide, please. So one of the things that really helped into the adoption of ATAK, and especially ATAK Civ, is the introduction of ATAK into the Google Play Store. So today you could literally just go right into Google Play and look for ATAK, make sure it says it's from the TAK Product Center, and you can download it. And it's this Civ version of it. When it launched a couple of years ago on Google Play, actually about a year ago, it was one of the top 5 trending applications. And of course, ATAK Civ source code is on the DoD GitHub. And again, that said it was forked 35 times, but I would imagine that's probably 10, 20-fold by now. Next slide. All right, so ITAK was just released to the Apple Store just a couple months ago. So you can go down and download ITAK. Again, I will stress, make sure it says TAK Product Center on it. There are some yahoos that are out there that are trying to take advantage of the ITAK name. So just make sure that the logo looks correct, that it's the TAK Product Center. So I just want to caveat that. Next slide. All right, so if you want any information on TAK, you just go to tak.gov. You can go ahead and create an account. If you are government, use your GovMill. Do not use your email or your Gmail or Yahoo account. It most likely will be overlooked or disapproved. If you are a contractor, use your company email and or your government or mill email as well to register. And again, if you are a contractor, you will need your government or military sponsor, as well as all the contract information that goes along with that. So you'll need to find out who your COR or COTAR is. You'll need to know what your contract number is, your period of performance, and all that stuff. So a lot of information they have, that they ask for. And most importantly for that one is to basically make sure that the TAC ecosystem is available to those that need it, and not just for those that are just nefariously just sniffing around. All right, we're going to go to the next slide. So this one, John, I'm not sure if you want to jump in and kind of talk a little bit about the CompassCom connection in terms of what we have, but I will just say that from the CompassCom perspective, we push all that cursor on target data, using a certificate-based API that pushes that into the TAC server. And then from there, all that COT data is then pushed one way directly into ATAC and WinTAC. John, is there anything else you want to add into this?
Yeah, sure, Chad. I think that just for, I know we have a lot of LMR people in the audience as I reviewed the registration list. And for some of you that may not understand some of the acronyms here, just very quickly, you'll see the box over to my left as I'm looking at this chart, or I would say system diagram. You'll see a box labeled IMW. That's Motorola's Intelligent Middleware Server. And it is that product from Motorola provides the GPS location data to the CompassCom location data engine, the LDE server. Right, so that's where we are aggregating all the device information that's coming off the Motorola radio system, all the location data. And then we, with the help of Bryden, we developed a connector from our LDE, which is, as Chad just described, it's a secure cursor on target connection that we send the information directly to the TAC server. And once it is there, it's on board like the data that the TAC server contains for the Android or iOS devices, and then those locations, those dots can be seen in the TAC end user applications, like an ATAC viewer that you could have on a smartphone that's strapped to your forearm, or you could be viewing it on a WinTAC general WinTAC dispatch screen, like anyone would look at our viewer or the WinTAC viewer, and so it's a relatively simple system to implement. When you see that a lot of you on the phone certainly already have this data, and if you're a Compass user, you can very easily, with the CompassTAK connector, now start sending your radio location data to your TAC server.
Yeah, we'll go to the next slide.
Yeah. And there is a WinTAC view, and the dots with the numbers associated with them, those are actual APX radios, Motorola APX series radios. There we push that data through our connector to TAC, and now the individual responder using the TAC viewer would see that. And then, of course, in addition to that data, they're going to see what all the other device data that they're capturing. So that's pretty much where we are today, and we certainly are planning for future enhancements. And obviously, we're very much interested in welcome feedback from TAC users who may be on the call with us today on functionalities and features that they're interested in seeing. Okay, well, I certainly want to thank you, Chad. I think that
you're welcome.
I know when I first became aware of TAC and got involved in thinking through it, it can be a very complicated environment, but I think you made it pretty clear and pretty simple for us, and that was the whole reason that we're very excited that you could participate today, because I think you were able to deliver some clarity to certainly people on our team, and as well as our audience today.
Yep. So this is the interface to ATAC. As you'll see, I have a location right in the middle of the screen. Oops, hold on. That's my mouse. And that'll be the location of myself. And then you'll see that there's another location up in Michigan, and I have some other COT data or location data segregated throughout the system here. So as I zoom in, takes a couple seconds for it to clear out, but I'm going to zoom into my location in Louisville. Although I actually just placed my mark there. I just had some demo data there. So I was out there doing some training with some EOD folks a few months ago. But so for instance, you'll see as soon as it cleans up here. Come on. There we go. So you'll see my location. And then what I'm going to do is on another TAK device, I'm actually going to just kind of show how, how it's very easy to take like overlay data and just send it over. So I'm just going to basically just send over an overlay to EOD tech send. And then you'll see that there was like a little white bounding box that is around the building. And then I'm going to take another shape. It'll clear up here in just a second, and it'll be a red shape that'll be overlaid on top of that. Yeah, come on. And oops, it's not working for me. Got to live live demos. So like this right here will be a facility. We can set up a geofence around it. So there's like, so whatever anybody's moving in and out of a geofence. So if you're setting up a search area, you say, hey, I want you to take a specific zone, go ahead and take that one. And then as people go in to the search area, you'll get an alert notification that they're in. And if they're not in, or if they go outside the search area, you'll get a notification that they're out. You can also get a list of all your different contacts that are listed as they're online. So imagine if you had a list of all of your Motorola radios, you'll get a list of all those that are on there as well. And there's also some other pretty cool stuff you can do too. So like, for instance, there are routes. You can generate routes, as you can see here. I can basically do self-navigation, so we can do offline or online navigation automatically. So if you're in a GPS denied area, or I should say more of like a cellular denied area, but you have accurate GPS, you are able to then pull turn by turn location data for yourself. So that way you're not completely out of the woods there per se. So there's a lot of capabilities within TAK. Like I said, there's, you can drop different cursors or different markers, everything from spotted map to vehicles to, oops, I'm not giving it time for it to update, but there's vehicles, there's Google. So you can use it simply just place like a martini bar or whatever, place it up on a map, and then now you have it there. And then if you want to add some information, you just click on the details button, add some information, gives you the geolocation of it. You can add some notes, take some pictures, and attach it. So it's just a really good overall mission planning tool and situational awareness tool and Blue Force tracking tool all up in one. You can import various types of vector and raster data. So you can bring in shape files. You can bring in GPX files, all kinds of different things that this supports. There's also a maps component, so you can subscribe to these different map layers. You can also go offline and use offline maps. So if you're in an area where you don't have cellular connection, you can go click offline and then click on the actual map source that you have, and then you'll be utilizing that particular map on the actual device itself. So I just wanted to give you guys just kind of like an overall flavor of what ATAK is. I mean, I'm not even touching a component of this. Is there's so many different tools and plugins, and so there's a lot of different things you can do with it. It's very powerful. Sometimes it looks a little intimidating. When I teach new people about ATAK, I said the best thing to do is just get in there and just start playing around with it. You're not going to mess it up. And usually, once you get them familiar with it and comfortable with the different icons and how things work, ATAK really becomes quickly a second nature application. So